Tonight, public sector unions are still in a waiting game with the government on the issue of finalizing negotiations.
Well, we are still awaiting word from the GNT, and as the President, Mr. Monroe, indicated at the time, if we are called at midnight, we'll be there to sign.
Workers are urged to mobilize and get unionized. And the Viewfort residents weigh in on the imminent closure of the landfill. That and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Friday, the 16th of August, 2019. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We're on Flow, channel 117, also being simulcast on Kiss FM, on our website, www.caribbeanhottv.com, or on our free Caribbean Hot FM mobile app. I'm lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. CSA General Secretary Claude Paul says the ball is in the government's court as it relates to finalizing public sector negotiations. A meeting on Thursday brought no finality to negotiations, although it was simply to put pen to paper on the collective agreement. Negotiated terms with 3 of the Trade Union Federation's affiliates were not presented for signing. The TUF president indicated to the GNT that the process could not be completed without the affiliate MOUs being presented. So for now, the collective agreement remains unsigned. I sat down with CSA General Secretary Claude Paul for the hot seat, and this was one of the matters that we discussed.
Well, there were a few items that 3 of the affiliates negotiated, but the GNT felt that they should not be included in the agreements themselves and opted for MOUs or some kind of letter of assurance in the case of the CSA. And those documents were not available at the time of signing. So all the unions which remain under the TUF decided that if some of the affiliates were uncomfortable, that none of them would have signed. So the medical and dental, the teachers supported the civil service, the correctional association, and the fire services, who had outstanding matters still to be presented. And as a result of the absence of those documents to support the collective agreements, the affiliates of the TUF decided that they would not sign at this point in time until those documents were produced.
That, of course, happened on Thursday.
Yes.
It is Friday. What sort of communication has there been with the GNT? Are you any step closer to getting this resolved?
No, but we are still awaiting word from the GNT, and as the President, Mr. Monroe, indicated at the time, if we are called at midnight, we'll be there to sign. So the onus now is on the government to produce those documents which we have negotiated and expected to be present at the time of signing.
Well, you can catch the full interview with the CSA General Secretary Claude Paul on the hot seat on Saturday during the double take. The Assistant General Secretary of Industrial Relations at the CSA, Max Stephen Orbiton, has highlighted the need for employees to not only join trade unions, but to truly understand the importance of doing so. In a perfect world, there would be no need for trade unions, but CSA General Secretary Max Stephen Orbiton says no industrial climate is a utopia. Issues arise that will require knowledge of labor laws and industrial negotiation techniques. He says while many workers think that they can handle these matters on their own, this direct approach leaves much room for workers to be misled and taken advantage of. Orbiton says in the case of the CSA, the union's track record speaks for itself on how beneficial union representation is for employees.
Employees normally request a union's intervention if they are of the opinion that they are treated unfairly. Because if you are at a workplace and you believe that your employer treats you fairly, he gives you, your conditions are good, he treats you like a human being, he knows at times you could be sick and be home and he does not always harass you. You know, sometimes employers believe, okay, I mean, we're in an environment which is good, and there's no need for us to have a third-party intervention as like the union. But however, in other circumstances where employees believe that the employers are treating them unfairly in terms of the conditions are not good, the pay isn't good, the treatment, the way they talk to them, I mean, these sort of things, then they believe that there will be need for the union to come in. And I mean, history has shown, not only history now, that where there's a union, the workers have more strength.
Alberton says oftentimes workers seek to join unions only when problems arise within the workplace, leaving the union to make attempts to clean up messes that have gotten way out of hand.
We have a number of employees in the public service, in the civil service, who are not members of the CSA, although we represent them. I mean, we have recognition to represent all civil servants. Teachers have their own union, police, but we, and some of them, for their own reason, do not join the union. And when they get into trouble, we just see them coming in, all of a sudden, and they fill in the application form to become members of a trade union. And if some of them, if they join on Monday, on Wednesday they're coming in with an issue. You understand? So they know the benefits of the trade union, but for their own maybe selfish reason, they do not join. But when they get into difficulty, they run and join.
The Civil Service Association's General Secretary believes that the issue of trade union membership is of great relevance in today's industrial relations climate and urges the public to place proper value on themselves as workers. In a recent interview with Hot 7 News, the president of the CSA, Cyprian Montrop, gave his opinion that there should be a minimum wage for each sector. A minimum wage in St. Lucia is still long overdue, and the approach to implementing a minimum wage should be done by sectors according to the Labour Minister as well. So we pose the question to you, the public. Do you believe it is time the island implements a minimum wage, and should it be on a sector basis? This is what you had to say.
What I think of it is that it should be fair that workers get their minimum wage, at least, because sometimes it does be so tough in St. Lucia already that people already not getting jobs, and the economy is kind of hectic. So I believe it should be better for St. Lucians to actually embark on minimum wage, so at least we can get something at the end of the month to help our families, friends and relatives, and even ourselves too. So yeah, that's why I believe we should get minimum wage. So at least some salary to pay off some form of rent, bills and anything else that we need. So yeah, I believe we should have it in St. Lucia.
I won't know much about that because I've not been employed. So I'm self-employed. Again. So I'll not know much about the public.
So do you think it's fair for somebody to make $300 a month?
A month?
Yeah.
That's not fair. That's unfair. That's totally unfair. $300 is supposed to be a day. Okay? That's where I'm concerned.
Most people ask for minimum wage, but are they prepared to meet up to the standard of minimum qualification? Because if an individual has to gain a certain amount in the wages, means that there will be a greater demand from them to work, and I mean to work.
My honest opinion, to be I don't know. I kind of grew up in poverty, so I have had my fair share with the system and stuff, and I personally right now don't care about that. So whatever they do for me personally, that is their business. Right now, I just working on myself and trying to better myself. That's all. So I'll try to find self-employed, try to do certain stuff to help myself bring income somewhere somehow, instead of just always looking towards the government for a work or income.
I strongly believe that we need one standard minimum wage. We right now have people on the island still making $400 a month. That's madness. How do you survive with that? How do you feed your children with that? How do you take care of your household with that? The country needs a proper minimum wage. I believe we're in a position to do so, and I believe we can do the necessary steps to make that happen.
This year, the Andropos Secondary School has broken a personal record by receiving its highest pass rate ever in CSEC examinations. The school achieved 81.75 percentage points as compared to 79.89 in the previous school year. Principal Arthur Scott spoke with Hot 7 News about the accomplishment.
This morning, in looking at the document, just browsing through it, I realized that our school did pretty well. We have the highest performance on record for this year of 81.75%, which is better than every year past. Okay, so I'm very, very happy as principal to be able to give that report. We have also done well in terms of receiving 100% pass rate in 9 of the subjects that we did. But all in all, I'm very, very pleased and proud as principal of the Enjipo Secondary School on the performance of the students of the Enjipo Secondary School, as they tried their very best and they have kept up to the expectation of our school in just not meeting our former scores but surpassing our scores, right now receiving the highest grade of 81.75%.
Scott is looking forward to the coming school year and hopes that this accolade encourages next year's group of CSEC participants to raise the bar even higher. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more news coming up after the break.